Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for October 20th. October 20th is the 293rd day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 294th in leap years, with 72 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is parapet. Parapet is a noun that means a wall, rampart, or elevation of earth or stone as to protect soldiers, as in the invaders fired arrows over the castle's parapet. Parapet can also refer to a low wall or railing to protect the edge of a platform, roof, or bridge, where it might also be called a parapet wall. This word comes to us as a combination of Latin and Italian words combined that refer to a chest-high wall, roughly meaning defense and breast, in that this was a wall about chest-high, placed to protect people, either from falling off a building or to protect them from attacks. You can see from this illustration the upper part of the castle wall, the crenelled parapet. How about that? First known use of the word parapet is in about 1590. Parapet. Today's word parapet was suggested by Odyssey viewer Easy9. Thank you, Easy9. And if you have a word you'd like us to explore in this Word of the Day segment, drop it in the comments. We'll take a look at it. And with that, as you probably know, the United States comprises a good-sized chunk of the North American continent. Canada, of course, lies to the north and Mexico to the south, with the United States taking up most of the middle. France, Spain, and England had laid claim to various parts of what is now the United States. A few other countries too, but those three were the major players. Of course, the American colonists revolted against British rule and acquired their freedom in the 1700s, forming a new nation, the United States of America. But America didn't hold sway over the entire continent. The French and the Spanish had parts of it too. You may know that we have a state called Louisiana. It's a boot-shaped state in the southern part of the United States. The mighty Mississippi River runs through it, forming a delta in the Gulf of Mexico. Prior to today's item, though, most of present-day Louisiana was just a tiny portion of a much larger area called the Louisiana Territory that spread over a large portion of present-day United States. The Louisiana Territory covered an area that now comprises the states of Montana, North and South Dakota, parts of Wyoming, Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Iowa, part of Minnesota, portions of New Mexico and Texas, and even up into Canada. It was huge. The French had the Louisiana Territory from 1699 until Spain acquired it in 1792. France got it back in 1800, but that didn't quite work out for a variety of reasons. Thomas Jefferson and James Madison were interested in acquiring the Louisiana Territory for the United States and set about in negotiation with the French for it. And when the French offered to sell the Louisiana Territory to the United States, our guys didn't waste any time making a deal. Of course, a deal that big is bound to have some opponents, and this one sure did. But Jefferson and Madison managed to talk Congress into it. $15 million for the purchase, which breaks down to about $18 per square mile. This would effectively double the size of the United States and give us control over the waterways of the Mississippi River. And so it is that on October 20th, 1803, the United States Senate ratified the Louisiana Purchase. Oh my goodness, this is the birthday of the late great Tom Petty, born October 20th, 1950. He had so many hit records from the 1970s through the 20-teens and sold more than 80 million records worldwide, making him one of the best-selling music artists of all time. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in December of 2001 and have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. A remarkable force of music Tom Petty was. He said in an interview that he knew he wanted to be in a band the moment he saw the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, and by golly, he did it. He sure did. His discography shows 16 studio albums and 68 singles, and he's had a channel on Sirius XM satellite for, over a dozen years. You can listen in your car or stream online, Tom Petty Radio. He'd developed a few health issues, as so many of us do as the decades pile on. A bad knee or two, emphysema. He'd also fractured a hip and was trying to put that surgery off until his tour was done. Got to respect the sense of responsibility to his crew, and I can totally relate to doing anything possible to postpone or evade a big surgery like that. I can also tell you that an injured hip can be unbelievably painful, so what a Herculean effort on his part. He'd just gotten in from his last tour and succumbed to an accidental overdose of pain medications. I certainly remember where I was when I heard that he'd passed. He died on October 2nd, 2017 at the age of 66. Now I'll tuck in a link to a previous episode for October 20 where I might have talked about some other things. Today's song is The Waiting by Tom Petty, and I'm sure you know the one. I can hear the guitar behind it. Released in April of 1981, Tom Petty said the idea came from a quote from the late Janis Joplin where she said of touring, "I love being on stage and everything else is just waiting." He said the concept might have come up elsewhere, but that's where he remembered the idea from, that Janis Joplin quote. I imagine that's right, especially for someone who loved doing what he did as much as he did. The Waiting has many references in popular culture, The Simpsons, The Office, several sports, and it's also been covered by other artists. Great song, The Waiting by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. As always, there is a link in the description. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That playlist lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include a link to my blog page that's called No Really. You can also find me on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. This is the birthday.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
I wasn't talking to you. Okay. Cacophony is a sound. Cacophony is a noun that... I'm going to have to look that up. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. Alrighty. You got to read it the right way. Let's start over. It's 8 o'clock, so all of the reminders are going to be dinging. I forgot to turn those off. Okay, stop it. Don't alienate people who can be helpful to you. Flinging happiness all over the place. Alrighty, back to work. I think we got it this time.